Hello, welcome to Education 207. This course is designed to introduce you to the essential elements of lesson planning that meet the needs of all learners. Today's module will give you a clear overview of the course, the structure of the course, and it will introduce you to the foundational principles of lesson design. So I am Dr. Lori Demois. You may have this course with one of our other professors. Um, Feel free to email whoever your professor is if you have any question. But we're going to go ahead and jump into Education 207, Designing Effective Lessons for All Learners. And this is Module 1, Introduction to Lesson Design and the Course Orientation. This is a semester-long foundational course for future educators. So you should be taking this course as part of the introductory coursework that you're going to need to become a teacher. The focus of this course is student development coupled with building effective lessons to engage all learners. So we look very closely at the principles of lesson design and how it supports what we know about learner theory. Additionally, for this course, you will have field work, and that's going to be coupled with what you're learning in the lecture modules, the theory. And we put both of those together so that you are allowed to observe how lesson planning and lesson design impacts student learning in the field. So we believe that the marriage of theory and field work provides a strong beginning for teaching practices. So let's take just a moment to look at how the course is structured. It's structured around 14 modules, each focusing on building your understanding of lesson planning. Your main project is a lesson design portfolio, which you will learn more about as you proceed through the course. And this serves as the demonstration of your learning, and it actually can count toward a micro-credential that you could put on your resume. But we'll talk about that in some of the later modules of the course. But let's look at the way it's set up. So weeks 1 through 4 is where you're going to learn about the fundamentals of lesson design. So this is where you're going to get some of the key vocabulary that you're going to use throughout all of your education courses. You're going to learn about what lesson alignment is and the importance of planning to support all learners, even those who have special needs or those who perhaps have some what we call readiness issues. Maybe there are some gaps in their learning. So you're going to learn all about that in weeks 1 through 4. In weeks 5 through 10, you are going to learn about the 5 components of lesson design. And these are some foundational principles that, again, you are going to see as you move through your education classes over and over again. You're going to refine your understanding of these 5 components of lesson design. The major assessments for this course, so these aren't the only ones, you have some discussion boards and some projects, but the major assessments are as follows. You will receive a field placement, which means that you are going to be assigned a specific classroom that you have to go and visit. You will be required to get 5 hours of field placement for this course. One of those hours is actually going to be a teacher interview, which we will learn a little bit more about as we proceed through the course. The other 4 are going to come directly from your sitting in a class and observing the class. You will sign up for a 2-week window during weeks 5 through 10. So this means that beginning in week 5 and going all the way through week 10, you're not going to be able to go at any time you want to because we have so many students that need to be able to visit field placement teachers. So you will sign up for a 2-week window. More information will be coming about that a little bit later. You will submit all of your field placement observations in week 13. So you will submit them all in week 13. And then your assessments are, in addition to your field placement observations, your assessments are a midterm, which is in week 7, and a portfolio, which is the final exam. Portfolio is part of your final exam, and then you actually have a content-based final exam, and that's in week 14. Okay? So if you have any issues at all if there's anything that would prevent you from being able to get in the field to get those just 4 hours of observation, so if you cannot arrange transportation, at least for just one day, then you need to let your instructor know within the first 2 weeks of class. But we'll be talking about that a little bit more as well. So when we're talking about the field experience hours, this is what we're talking about. You will complete 5 hours of field experience where you get the opportunity to actually observe real classrooms and analyze how teachers use the 5 components of effective lesson design. So you will actually are going to interview. So the teacher interview will count as 1 of your hours. And then the remaining 4 hours will come from observing that teacher. Make sure that you review the Field Experience Handbook in Module 2 for full expectations of what we require of our teacher candidates in the field. So you're going to observe lessons through the lens of the 5 components, which you're going to learn about later in class. You will submit observation notes and documentation. Again, more information will be coming about that. And then it is required for you to contact your field mentor, to report to the site, to obtain the interview answers from the field mentor, and to go for 4 hours to complete your field experience. You will find out more about the requirements and sign up for a 2-week observation window in modules 2 through 4. 2 through 4. I just want to let you know that this is coming. It's coming up. You will be required to have visit a classroom. So please know that. So now let's jump into the content of the course. These are the 5 critical components of effective lesson design. And over the next several weeks, we're really going to focus on refining your understanding of these key concepts. They form the heart of effective lesson planning and instructional delivery. You'll learn how to plan, evaluate, and reflect on each of these throughout the course, and you'll see them in action in those field placements. So these are the 5: clear learning expectations, engaging instructional strategies, differentiated instruction, real-world applications, formative and summative assessment. So let's jump in and learn a little bit more about each one. This component, clear learning expectations, emphasizes clarity. Learning objectives should be specific, they should be measurable, and they should be tied to standards. When students know exactly what's expected of them, they're more likely to stay engaged in achieving the goal. So clear learning expectations should define what students should know and be able to do at the end of a unit of study. And they should be aligned to standards. They should be written in measurable terms, and they should be clearly shared with students. So essentially, students should know what they're learning about. They should understand what their learning goals, and they should be able to monitor their own progress in meeting what those learning goals are, because the expectations have been communicated very clearly to them and in language that is student friendly based upon their grade level and their readiness level. So clear learning expectations are key. The second component is about how you teach. So using engaging methods keeps students invested. We'll explore a variety of strategies to match different subjects, age groups, and learning needs. So engaging instructional strategies use research-based strategies to activate thinking and participation. Some examples of strategies include modeling. So modeling how to solve an equation, perhaps in a math class. Modeling how students should formulate a topic sentence for a paragraph or a claim. Inquiry means how are we shaping and formulating questions and helping students formulate their own questions. Scaffolding learning. How are we putting rungs in place? How are we putting the learning goals into smaller units of instruction that allow our students to slowly climb those cognitive ladders so that they're doing some of that deeper critical thinking, project-based learning, and achieving more of those higher level student outcomes. And then lastly, of course, guided practice. How are we providing an opportunity for our students to apply what they're learning in a manner that allows us to guide them in the moment in that learning process? So these are just a few, and we're going to jump into more of the engaging instructional strategies when we get to that specific module in class. The next one is differentiated instruction. Differentiation is about equity. Not all students learn the same way or at the same pace. And this component, differentiated instruction, shows you how to adjust your lessons to serve everyone using strategies rooted in universal design for learning and responsive planning. So differentiated instruction helps us plan for varied student readiness, interests, and learning profiles. It helps us adapt content, process, product, and environment to ensure that all students have equal access to success. Real-world applications is the next critical component. When students understand why something matters, they learn more deeply. This component focuses on relevance. Tying your lesson to careers, current events, or everyday life. It connects learning to authentic tasks and real-life contexts. It promotes relevance, motivation, and deep understanding for students. Essentially, it helps them connect some of the abstract learning that perhaps we have in our content to real-world settings, things that they know about or are interested in. And then the last component, the last critical component of lesson design is formative and summative assessment. Assessment isn't just about grading. It's about feedback, reflection, and adjusting instruction to meet students' needs. This component helps you plan both ongoing, which is formative, and final, which is summative, checks for understanding. Formative and summative assessments help teachers monitor progress and measure mastery. It balances assessment types to inform instruction and support learning throughout the unit, and then all the way for what we consider year-long and long-term learning goals. So now let's talk a little bit about this week and what's going to be required of you now that we've gotten a brief look at the main content that we're going to really be focusing on a little bit later in the course. The syllabus quiz and the discussion board are what you really need to be paying attention to this week. You definitely want to check your learning platform, Canvas. Make sure you spend a lot of time reviewing the syllabus and take the quiz. You have to score a 100% and you have unlimited attempts to do so. A discussion post will be required of you. We want to know more about you. Introduce yourself and respond to two peers. More information regarding specific formatting and due dates is available on Canvas. So let's review our Module 1 outcomes. This is what success looks like. Once you complete the quiz and the discussion and review the lesson design components, you're ready to move forward. So make sure you navigate the course and the syllabus. You should at this point be able to define the 5 critical components of lesson design, which we quickly reviewed. I want you to connect with peers and share yourself with your instructor. And I want you to articulate your initial understanding of effective lesson planning in that discussion board. I hope you have a wonderful week. Please reach out to your instructor if you have any questions. And welcome to Education 207.